Okay, call to order. I've got everybody here. Amy said she wasn't gonna be here. Okay, let's get on with this. Discuss, the first thing on our discussion is the insurance claim from 153. I guess, Kent and I were talking about this, and I thought maybe we should put it on here and go ahead and accept it, just to be safe.
Do we need to have a vote for it, or we just?
Well,
So Todd D's been
yeah.
checking into this with our insurance company, and the adjuster has sent down their amounts that they would cover. So the question was, do we have to have, you know, the bids? And before we do this, Todd talked to them the other day. They're going to send a check down for the $12,745 minus $500 deductible, and then we'll get that in. And then I've got feelers out for bids for a new roof. I've got 2 in. I'm waiting on a 3rd one.
Okay, we could probably go ahead and accept those bids at the next meeting on the 19th. That makes sense?
We're not having any leaks or any kind of issues?
No leaks at this time. During that last wind event a couple weeks ago, they noticed some shingles in the front yard.
Right.
So they went down there and took a look at it, and there were several shingles off of both sides.
Okay, we got that out of the way. Now the new life squad specs.
In front of you, you should have a packet labeled Horton, and it's the package of the new squad. Good news on this one. In my opinion, it didn't go up as much as I thought it would be. It's just at $290,000. And the second good news on it is the date that they believe they could get it to us is somewhere between 12 and 14 months. Is that right, Jordan?
Yeah, I think it's at 370 to 400 days or something like that.
So if you guys decide to approve this in the January meeting and sign off on the specs and the ordering, if we go through the Rev Group financing like we did with the rescue, it would have us having the new squad come in January of 2023, January or February. The first payment not due till 12 months after that. So it would be 2024, somewhere around January or February or March for the first payment due of around $35,000.
And talking to Jordan about this, it's pretty much the same as what we ordered on the last one. There's some minor changes they made as far as the operational crew wanted some seats moved around and such in the back. But you were talking also about the current status of the squads.
Yeah, I had both of them down last week, pretty much the same time. Medic 153 was down, and then Medic 152 had an issue with the DEF system in it, the diesel exhaust fluid. We moved that one up to primary status while the other one was getting worked on, and they were on a run, and it popped up. DEF system needs maintenance, and said the vehicle would shut off and not run in 100 miles. So that was exciting. So,
Are they both back now?
yeah, knock on wood. When it rains, it pours. But, yeah, Medic 153, there was an issue with it needed brakes and rotors. And then there was an issue with the preemption light, which is the light that changes the red lights in Trenton and Middletown to green for us when we're going through intersections. It's a strobe light, and the strobe pack on that burn up. There's something else minor that they were working on. The brakes and the rotors were the main thing. Oh, it had a, was that front U-joint or something went out on it. The whole front end was shaking on the truck. But, so we got that one back in service, and then took the backup squad down there, and they had to fix all the stuff on it. All these new trucks, that DEF system is just a pain in the butt. I know Trenton's had a bunch of issues with theirs. too, all the new emission stuff they put on them.
Are you guys everybody okay with this particular one?
I am.
Everybody good?
Did you get more than one quote?
We did not. We're happy with the Horton. It's the, top of the line as far as life squad services. The crew's happy with the Horton. They are a state bid company, so we can use them without.
We don't have more quotes, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to make it, would you just tell me
Yeah.
that?
And they're up in Grove City. The other major companies, there's one out in Florida, one's out in like Iowa or somewhere. So if we have an issue, we just run it
Yeah,
up there.
just-
They're like an hour and 10 minutes away.
Yeah. You guys are all good with this?
And it, I mean, looking at it, our, the backup unit, I mean, we're talking delivery in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You recall the mileage on Medic 153?
Medic 153 should be around 95,000. The backup squad should be around 150.
So we'll probably put another 30,000 miles on it before new one comes in.
Anybody have any other questions? We'll take care of this at the 19th meeting too.
Did you ever take care of this on the
Yeah.
January meeting?
Yeah. Is that okay? Or can we get started? I don't even know if we can do this tonight. I would love to do it tonight.
I'll see you as far as
Is this a workshop or is this a meeting?
This is,
we call
it's
it
a special meeting. We
special
call it a
meeting.
special meeting, so we might be able to.
If it's if it's a workshop, it's questionable. Yeah, we could make a motion and have it in here. That's my opinion.
I make a motion, we accept it.
Okay.
Second?
Roll call. Jeff?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And I'll say yes also. So there you go. Get started.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Get the sales guide and I'll call tomorrow.
Good,
All right.
okay. We can get this going. All righty. Moving right along here, discussion of third person for round-the-clock coverage.
I put that on there just to bring it up. We was gonna check the minutes from a meeting 8 months ago,
Yeah.
because in the minute, we discussed putting the third person on 12 hours at first, and then at the first of the year, putting it around the clock. So the discussion was, it was in the language in the
Right.
last meeting.
I can tell you that for sure.
Amy was supposed to check, I believe.
Which meeting would that have been from?
Should have been about 8 months ago.
See what happens, man.
What month would it be?
You have any idea, Jake, when we started that
8 months
third
ago?
person?
But you're saying that
During the day,
Yeah.
it was March. Yeah, March 21.
So it would have been February or March meeting.
On the website, yeah, this is a special meeting.
March 25th, 20 or 21?
21.
Go to a different stack.
If it's not on there, I would like to ask the board's permission to put it on there to start February 1st. The additional 12 hours, which is in the budget.
Yeah, I thought that we had already taken care of, that's what I.
That's what I thought.
It was already taken care of. we were gonna start that. We were gonna agree to it and everything else.
That's one or two we agreed to, that we was gonna start it.
You said, you mentioned the word budget. It is in the budget?
Yes.
And that would cover it for how long?
It's in the budget that, I'll show you on the first page that, along with everything else, it tiers down.
That's the increase of, for year 2022 up to $600,000 for the salaries.
Yes.
Because I think we increased it this year to do the,
We increased it this year to do the 12 hours, but Amy is supposed to reimburse us out of those funds
how they are.
for that the ARPA funds for that 75,000.
How long, look, you're you go to 625 and 24, am I right by reading this?
Yes. And those are estimated, just because of, the cost of living and everything going up.
I know this is gonna be, our manpower is gonna be a challenge in the near future, because there's a lot of different towns and everything are starting full-time because of full resources.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat, we all know it, but I guess where will we, with this extra person, how long are we gonna be solvent in the fund?
On the first page here, 2025, 2026 starts getting extremely low on the budget. 2027 shows in the red. And that's something we've talked about and discussed over the last several years about how the budget was going the wrong way because of the cost of living and the cost of the expenses was going up and the revenues staying the same.
Does, the software you have, does it have any kind of time stamp on the runs? I know it gives you the total runs, but does it have any kind of time stamp as far as how many runs from 6 in the morning till noon or whatever it might be?
I'm sure I can, you can pretty much do whatever you want. If it's not already set up in there, I just have to call the company and they'll be able to
Get a report to make
get a report. So,
The fire department software has that. And these guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the runs are probably from 1 to 9, I would say, generally. 1 to 9, 1 to 10.
And yeah, keep in mind, it's not gonna completely get away from it, but having that third person's gonna cut down on fire runs too. I mean, I would say we've significantly cut down on fire runs. Wouldn't you, on lift
Yeah.
assist during the day?
Yeah.
And it's just nice having that third person. I mean, this morning we had a 2-month-old non-breather that ended up passing away. They transported me, and we had 2 people on squad. So they had a deputy drive them to the hospital, and they ended up meeting up in Middletown and grabbing 2 more guys just because you can't work the code with 2 people. I mean, even 3, they'd have probably needed 1 more person, but at least you got somebody that was going on driving your squad instead of a police officer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to tell, but I would say probably between 1 and 9 would be a good bet.
Because I thought we have 3 people that are doing the week. Is this just on the?
We have 3 people on day shift.
On day shift?
7
A to 7 P.
Okay.
7 days a week. And 2 people on nights.
That part is if you got 2 people on squad and you gotta, say you need a driver, so you call the fire department, tell them to drop tons for fire department. Well, then chief ends up paying 20 people to show up just because you need 1 person to drive the ambulance, you know what I mean? So, is it gonna pay for all of it? No, but I think it'll significantly cut down on lip assist just like it has during the day.
Yeah. I'm okay with the third person.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to add a third person.
Second.
Okay.
February
Everybody's
1st.
good, right?
Thank you.
Well, and that's another question I got for this. Is that gonna stretch our manpower as far as, I mean, we're gonna look at, it seems like we're always looking to hire people. Are we gonna need to hire additional people?
There's and Jordan always gets upset whenever there's not shifts covered, and he calls me and tells me, and I said, Jordan, it's just like, it's a
Stresses
growing,
me out.
it's a growing thing, you know?
That's why I'm bald.
Knock on wood, the schedules looks great. It's looked great in the last week or couple weeks, looks good in the future, but once you add those other shifts, then, you know, you try to put out, hey, we're hiring more, we got more shifts. It's just a growing pain.
Okay. That's just, I was just gonna say something about the next item we got on.
Yeah.
So we might as well move right into that. The attorney came back, everything, she was okay with it.
Okay.
And what we'll do, this is the new policy to allow them to sign off on insurance coverage, that they've got it, and they'll be able to work more hours. So what we need to do is make it hours.
Will she do that?
Yeah.
Will she create the
Well,
policy, or?
I can get her to do it, or we might be able to do that. In fact, I might ask Dawn to see if we can go ahead and do that ourselves and have it ready by the meeting on the 19th. So we get a.
Okay.
She'll have the language, Joe.
Yeah. She said on the language, I sent her the example that Jeff had sent us from,
Morgan?
yeah. And she said that made sense and everything. And I think we could just about use that same language, make it ours. Instead of saying Morgan Township, says Madison Township, and put our logo on it, and there you go. But she was okay with that, so.
All right.
Is
That's
that,
good.
that runs on the calendar year too, right? It's not a circulating.
Calendar year.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe we'll take care of that on the 19th also, okay?
Awesome.
I hope that helps you guys out a lot. I really
does.
I think it will.
So. All right, there goes that one.
We're going right through them.
Yeah, we are. All right, this one might be the long one here.
Yes.
All right, the budget.
So on your budgets that I've attached, I called down, talked to, I forget his name, it's a guy who runs the numbers for levies, just in case you guys had questions about how much millage was, how much it would cost somebody. I got updated numbers because we got them a couple years ago, and they changed it a little bit. A 1 mil levy would generate around $286,000 per year. It would cost a homeowner of a $100,000 home $35 a year. And then there's examples there on that first page, all the way up to a 3 mil. 3 mil on a $100,000 home would cost a homeowner approximately $105 a year.
Do you know if this, the values he has up here as far as total collections and such, is that based off the new evaluation? Because everybody's evaluation got increased pretty significantly.
I talked to him Monday, and he sent me these numbers for Monday. So
Say so.
he also said, I asked him hypothetically, if the trustees decided to put a levy on it for May of 2022, when would we expect to get the funds? He said you would get them in 2023.
Yeah.
I didn't know how that worked, so. The first page, spreadsheet, is just an approximate line items of where we are now. You'll notice on the top there on our capital expenditures, not a lot of items, except for the payments for the rescue truck, 151. And these are just basic operating how we are today. And the bottom shows the carryover, and it shows it getting down to the nitty-gritty around the year 2025 and 2026, 2027. But that's the current. The second page, and these are just, these are not suggestions, these are examples that I threw in. The second page is a 1.75 mil levy that would generate funds for 2023, where I've increased that. And then I also put in expenditures on capital items, and I did payments, 10-year payments, to make it a little bit easier on the budget. In the 1.75 mil levy, that would generate an additional $500,000 a year for the fire department. It would allow us to purchase the squad that you talked about tonight. It's got payments in there for a pumper tanker fire truck. It's got payments in there for brush vehicles. It's got payments in there and purchases in there for rescue tools that are needed. And it just allows us to buy equipment. I also put in this budget some extra money for fixing things around the 3 stations. The 3 stations are older. There's always something going down, so there's extra monies in there to, if we have to do repair items or remodel items or something like that for the 3 stations. This 1.75 mil levy allows us to buy equipment and fix our buildings. There is no money in there for a new building, and there is no money in there for additional personnel. This is just a 1.75 to get the equipment, fix the buildings, and does not add any personnel, does not add any new building. The next one is the 2.75, and again, these are just examples, these are not suggestions. 2.75 mil levy would generate an additional $800,000 a year. It does exactly what I said before with the equipment. It allows around $350,000 a year towards a new building. And it keeps us with the carryover to keeps our budget balanced. And again, these are just suggestions and numbers showing you what could happen with the tax levies.
How do you do the levies as far as if you're interested in doing a levy? What are the mechanics we actually have to go through?
According to the guy at the auditor's office, the trustees have to make a motion in a meeting. Then it has to be sent to a said person down at the auditor's office. They have to look over it, agree with the numbers, and then they have to send it back to the trustees for approval. This all has to be done prior to February 2nd. But he said there's a possibility that February 2nd timeline might get pushed out because of something going on with the state.
You mean extended or cut
Extended.
short?
Might be extended because of something
Okay.
going on with the state. Maybe the geographical lines or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, the district, the voting district?
I think so.
Representative
But that's what he told me. Me personally, I don't know if the $350,000 a year would work for a new building in today's prices. That means the cost of a building would be roughly 3.5.
How much did Trenton?
2.7.
2.7? And that was 3 years ago, 3 years ago?
Well, construction started 4 years ago.
I tried to buy the, it's in a will.
Oh, up there?
Yeah, I talked to her.
It's just gonna sit there, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I think we should do this, if we're gonna do this, it's gotta be done sooner rather than later, and as soon as possible, I think.
I agree.
Does anybody know what the school is doing?
The school, talking to Mr. Staggs last night, his opinion, the school's gonna put on a income tax levy in May
Of this year?
of this year. It's gonna be a 1% income tax levy. It's not gonna be like a residential
Property tax.
property tax levy. It's gonna be a 1% income tax levy.
That's not a, that's an addition going forward, right? That's not a sunset or a certain time frame on it.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I hate to do that at the same time as they, but it needs to be done.
Well, you look at these numbers, you know, that the budget as it is right now, that first page, that's not including any new vehicles.
No.
And we're going belly up.
Mm-hmm. We need a new building. So if we do this, and then here's, in my mind right now, what made you pick 2.75 million? Or a
Because it
million
sounded
instead
better
of
than
3?
3.
I mean, we were talking.
Honesty goes a long way.
We were talking, if you go 3, you could put, if you went for a $3 million for 10 years.
Yeah,
You could put $500,000 probably into a new building fund.
yeah.
And then also fund your vehicles and your
Mhm.
additional, because I do think, he's got in the budget as time goes, that our,
Personnel.
as far as, you know, the cost of.
So we
having
build a
people
new
there.
building, and the other 3, we're gonna do something with them, right?
Well,
So
In
what's your
my-
plan if we do that?
this is my opinion.
Okay.
Number one, we need a new building.
Uh-huh.
I'd love to have it up here to make this like a safety complex for everything. In my opinion, we need the second building in Poasttown as a satellite station. Your ISO ratings up for that area would not be good. The response time set by ISO is 4 to 8 minutes in that ballpark. So we would need a second station, satellite. We'd need a squad, a fire engine, and a brush truck in that area. In my opinion, we could shut down the south station, and I'd like, once we get to this point, I'd like to contract the township land and stuff that's south of Trenton, contract that out for services. It's totally asinine, I believe, for our squad to be leaving here and going on a medical call at Rattleball and Sycamore when they drive right by a fire station.
Yeah.
I think that should be contracted out. Other departments do it in the county because of the same situation they're in. But, you know, there should be a fire headquarters up here. There should be a satellite station in Poasttown if we need to refurbish the Poasttown station. Once this is built, we could use the monies from the sale of the 2 stations and you know, a little bit more that we could budget out of our own budget to totally refurbish that. Ross Township runs like that. They run out of 2 stations, and because of the way their geographical location, it works good for them.
You're still buying doubles, or weren't you?
But you'll always be buying doubles because
If you had
you
one
know.
station, would you buy doubles?
Yes, because you have to have a reserve. You can't, if one engine goes down, you gotta have a backup. If your one squad goes down, you gotta have a backup.
But you wouldn't be buying 2 at a time, is what you're saying? You'd be keeping one and buying
Yeah.
a new one,
Yeah,
when that gets old.
and we would do the same thing, you know. Up there would probably, we budgeted here in the next year or two for a pumper tanker. Up there, budget-wise, we don't need to buy a pumper and a tanker. In the future, we're not gonna have the personnel to drive both of them. So it needs to be a pumper tanker. That will save us money. To buy a pumper today, $750,000. To buy a tanker today's $350,000. We could buy a pumper tanker for around $850,000. So that's gonna save money.
Is that what the rescue is down there?
That's what the engine is now.
Yeah.
The engine is
Yeah.
down
But that one up there would be more of a custom, like a Sufton custom pumper tanker. That's similar to Oxford and Hanover Township just got. That's what everybody's going to.
there. How did that rescue down there, how does that fit in? Because I thought I know it's a smaller unit, so we can get back into some of the driveways and such better.
Yeah, so that kinda, so when we bought engine 151 that we have currently, we bought that truck to replace tanker 151. But we spec'd it out as an engine, so we would have a reserve engine. Well, then after we spec'd that out and built it, and it was being built, engine 151 went down. So we ended up, instead of buying another new engine to replace engine 151, we ended up just using the pumper tanker that we ordered as engine 151. But because we had two trucks, squeezing them into one, and we didn't spec it out that way because, like I said, we were building it to be a tanker, more of a tanker than an engine, we didn't have room to put all the equipment on it. So that's when we started looking at another truck. And it just worked out good because there's a lot of areas down here that we can't get an engine back. And we had a squad run the other day on Michael Road. They got a little bridge, and it was everything we had just to squeeze the life squad back there. If there was ever a structure fire back there, it'd be a mess.
We've got a few of those regardless,
Yeah.
whether it's a small bridge or not.
So,
But keeping that satellite station, we should be able to use funds from the sale of the other two stations and funds what we'll have in our budget. This township's just too big for one station. The railroad track's the way it is and everything.
Chief, did he give any insight, that guy you talked about how much of a levy or how big of a levy or anything, or was he just?
He's just a numbers guy.
Right.
He's just a numbers guy giving me what it would cost the homeowner and how much we would get.
So pretty much per mill, we're getting 286,000.
Yes.
I mean, I think the last 2 years, we've kind of elongated this out with the COVID funds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
allowed
Big
us to
time.
stretch it out a little bit further.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be there.
We
It's
would-
just like any other
No.
government
Yeah.
money they give you. It only lasts so long and they're gonna jerk it away from you. Get our experience with the
Schools.
school. Yeah.
To build a building and be able to get by as reasonable as possible, my personal thoughts would be to use our existing somewhere or another. It would cost us a few dollars to get it up to what the standards it has to be with, and build another building for the township. To me, that would be a cheaper way to go than to meet the specs that we've got, to build a firehouse like we Star Building is what these are. We can probably get, you can probably call them and they can give you a ballpark figure on square footage just on an open frame building, the doors. So basically, that's all that is out there. It doesn't have to have rooms for your uniforms and this, that, and the other, and that would have to be taken care of here somewhere. some of this would be changed around. But my personal thoughts are it'd be cheaper to build, turn this in, and I'm not the engineer and I'm not the architect, but I think it would be cheaper overall wise to do that than it would be to go out and try to build a brand new firehouse.
Well, the only question I have, and that's the question I've always had about that, if we do this, if we do that route, can you use the money that's designated for the fire department to build a new, something out there for the road crew?
I mean,
I think the road crew's got a nice building here, something fits them. We've added on to it, and it fits them perfectly. And if we get this kind of money, what we're talking about here, we might as well just go, I don't mind just going a fire station and that's it.
yeah, I kind of like to, tackle where the problem is too. I mean, the problem is with our fire departments and the buildings.
But again, my question is, I'm not sure if you can use those funds from this to build if they'll allow you. And I think I've always had that
It
question.
would be just a question, maybe we could have to ask somebody down in Hamilton.
Yeah, we could do that, but,
Doesn't cost anything to ask.
Is there any way, I mean, I'd like to have somebody, an engineering company or a construction company, let's look and say, give us some guesstimates on cost for building something too. And like I said, if we do go to an engineering company, so they're gonna want some funding. The building company, I think either one would probably would want some funds to look at it and give us an answer on it. But I think that would give us a good answer as far as some costs and modifying or building or whatever we wanna do.
yeah. But how much are we looking at? How much, what kind of, are you looking
get
at the
estimate.
2.75 mil? And have a 10-year levy, 2.75?
And build a building in that 10 years.
Yeah, we'll build a building, I mean, but in 10 years, you're gonna have to come back and either say,
So renewal,
yeah, we'll have to have a renewal.
Percentage wise, you would.
Yeah.
If we did a 275, I'm concerned that $350,000 a year is not gonna be enough. That's my concern. If we go to 3, I think it'd be 3-4 mils would be a better number as far as trying to get a building or modification on things.
Well, how much is?
So the
school levy?
2.75 is gonna generate 800,000 a year, right?
1% income is totally different. It's a lot more.
He had it here somewhere, I thought.
Yeah,
Well, it's at 286 multiplied, okay, yeah, I said multiplied by 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's gotta be 275, or in my mind, 275 or 3, one of those two.
I agree.
The 3 is about 859, 437. Two, 3/4 is 787. 817.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. It's gotta be at least 2.75 or 3. What the heck, go for 3. I mean,
I felt better with that number.
yeah.
Because
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something, and then if we keep two buildings, we're gonna have to do something with that one down there. I mean, that's.
Thing of it is, you're handicapped to what you can do.
Oh, I know,
You can-
because
you
of
can- You can take it down, but you still don't have enough space to have a good fight there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can even take it down as a historical building, isn't it?
Somebody will say something, let's put it that way. Miss
Terrorists
Slade's
come
not-
by and
Miss
blow it
Slade's-
up.
Miss Slade's not here. So that eliminates
Here's
that.
the, oh, I got it, it's in your handout too. This is what that lot looks like. It tightened that way to that railroad track.
There's a few illegal things there that we all know about, that a lot of people don't know about, which is probably good.
And the name on the board says 1857 school district.
Mhm. See, that's what I was wondering. Like, I don't even know if you
Are you
can.
guys
do it
in-
now.
Are you guys in the scenic cruise right now?
I was just showing this as we were talking about the footprint.
But for what it's used for, I mean, it's served its purpose for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna run into troubles within the next 5 years because of the personnel up there that's not gonna be there. And I hope they're still able to go to the Dollar General store up on Keystone Road. Who said that?
Bob.
Anyway.
Bob just turned 82 yesterday.
I know, I saw, yeah.
Is
Denzel's,
is
I
Andy
don't
still
think
around?
Denzel's old, is Denzel older than Bob or older?
He's 79, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he showed up.
And he's got an iPhone 12.
Did he really? He won't be able to hear it when it rings, won't make no difference if it's a 15 plus.
He took advantage of that FirstNet program.
Yeah, he called me this morning, I had to go down there and set it up for him.
They're not fun. If you're not high, if you're not into that stuff,
Well, there's,
it's a routine to get into it now.
I see, well, I kind of, we talked to Wayne Township, and the approach they took was they actually hired an architect, and he drew up their plans. Of course, this was, I don't know, he said, how long has that building been there? It's,
Wayne Township?
yeah, 10 years?
10.
10
Probably
10
maybe.
10 or 12
He's 10.
years.
10, 12, yeah, I was gonna say it's been there.
Yeah, they had an they hired an architect, drew up the plans, and then he gave them an estimate. And if the bids were not within 10% of that, no, it couldn't be over 10% of that estimate. And that's how they went. And they feel like they had a pretty good, they got value for their money that way. The other way is to go ahead and have an engineering company or architect come in and study our existing buildings and also what we would like to do, and have them give us an estimate. So it's either, I think it's either way, one of those two things we gotta do to go forward to get a good estimate on our cost for a building. For any kind of modifications or buildings we're gonna look at. Now, you're gonna probably run into the cost to have somebody do that, you're probably looking $5,000 to $30,000 range. But when you're talking about spending, we're talking about spending $3.5 to $5 million, spending that kind of money to make sure and you're making the right decisions, I think is a good thing to do.
I agree, it would be a good idea to look into it. Have somebody come in, tell them what we're wanting.
Do you know who Trenton worked with as far as that building design?
Dennis Beatty.
Was he the one that did our drawings?
Yeah, I think so. Would you guys use him again?
If you ask the fire chief,
Not a
no.
that's not a good public question to ask. there's another fella in our township that got a good background and very fair. And, I think we need to, Kent and I differed a little bit. We've talked, we butt heads, but we've always been friends for a long time. We need a basic building. And, he likes the best for his men. I don't have any trouble with that. But nowadays, with the cost that we're going through, I'd like to stay basic. To me, I'd rather have the money to pay the guys to go to the, whether it's a fire or a rescue, and also the equipment, as I would a Taj Mahal. Wayne doesn't have a Taj Mahal. Very basic. We have probably the absolute worst environment for our trucks. But we probably got some of the best people going and doing the right thing. And that's how I look at it. And I'm not throwing rocks at your crew, because you used to be part of our crew, so.
Absolutely.
And so I'm just saying, I'd like to stay as basic as possible with the building and make sure that we got money for what his needs are, whether they're trucks or personnel.
Oh, yeah, you look at what Wayne Township has, it's a nice building. It's got the brick facade around the bottom, keep it from any kind of environmental issues. And we talked about the size, maybe we might get a little deeper into it or something like
The
that.
building I'd like to build would be similar, would be a version of Wayne and Trenton's. I like,
You want
Thanks.
that beam going through there, or do you want to leave the beam out going through Trenton's? Think about what I'm saying.
On the second floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want the beam there. That's the only thing we don't. He
You want to
knows.
add a box around.
oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want to say that.
I took an early tour
Yeah.
of that place, and they're warm heat, so that's really nice. I know a little bit what they say. But I agree with John Morgan is, you can give him a 60 by 80 or 100 by 120 by 60 or whatever. And what you're talking about, I can call a steel company right now that builds buildings. And if you want square footage, if he tells me he needs one that's 120 by 80, I can get you a shell price pretty quick. Now, I can't get you inside plumbing, electrical, and the symmetrics of what's needed inside, but I can get you a shell price pretty quick. And you'll know what your base, I can get you a cement price too.
Well, that's something we can start working on too, is the specs for the building.
You still got the plans and everything for that other building we're gonna build?
I think so. If not, we could get them off of Beatty, but I'm sure you'd have them done there.
Yeah, I got another
That might not be
He's
it.
got a copy of it.
That might not. If he's got a copy, we just use his.
I got a PDF copy.
There was a copy here at the. in the office.
I looked in there.
I got them on my computer too.
There's in the one cabinet in there,
I was gonna say, there used to be.
there's a set of drawings in there.
I would propose that we have a workshop. And Kent work some figures up on the size building you need, just building. And one with his idea, I don't want it to look like and I don't want it to look like my pole barn over there where I live, but put a front on it. Basically, it'd be a big shell, and then the inside is where that's where it's gonna cost us the biggest part anyway. Your electric and your rooms and what have you. And we need to, it's a square foot deal on the buildings, but I think that maybe have a workshop. But come in with figures, not just come in and talk about it.
Yeah, we can get started on that. But my question is, what size levy do we want? Do we want to put a levy on this year or next year, 2022? Are we okay with that? Does
If-
everybody want that?
If you put Again, I don't know how this works. Because, well, I think if you pass it in 22, you can get it in 2023, right?
Mhm.
So it
Does it
starts.
matter when you pass it during the calendar year, as when you start collecting the money? Or is it-
I don't think it does. I think as long as you get it in before, now I could be wrong. I thought it was as long as you got it in before, because our last one passed. That was in the fall, wasn't it?
I think so.
I mean, it's
But-
been a
but
while.
Yeah, no. I think there is a date. I'm gonna say, I think there's a date during the year. Well, we can call it, I can tell you, you can call Julie Joyce, Julie Joyce can tell you real quick.
Is she with, who's she with?
She, we call Ross Township, she's
Oh.
the fiscal officer now, but she worked for the auditor.
Oh, okay.
She worked for Roger Reynolds. So she can tell you real quick.
Because when you look at this, it's not a question of if we need it or not. It's just a question of the amount.
Yeah.
And the duration.
When's the school doing theirs? When did you say?
We're doing it in May.
22.
We're doing,
We have a watcher that has input.
We had a levy,
don't put it on
38
May,
years
but
before we had the second,
Turn around, put it right back on.
which is a
November
long
again.
time. But things have changed so drastically. We just need to sell it, show the people.
To me, every so often, you have to put money into your building, one way or another, you're gonna have to.
You don't have a choice. You
It's-
know
it's-
who's-
it's like
you know
that.
who's dictating it? The people in the township.
It's like your home. Every so often, you have to put money into your home. What was it they wanted?
Suggestion was using a metal building and putting a brick or stone facade on, required by zoning. Calling a Gary Hart at H&H in Fairfield. He does Jungle Jim's buildings. And H&H Superstructures. Would include windows and doors and garage doors, interior floors at a great price.
Do you know, who supplied the building for Trenton? Do you know that?
I do not think.
Four Star's a big outfit.
What's that?
That's what these are.
And again, the guy at the auditor said for the May deadline on the levy was February 2nd.
Mhm.
And he just said the trustees had to make a motion, and then they had to present the numbers to the auditor's office, and then they verify the numbers, send them back, and then the trustees have to agree with those numbers, file, do another motion to get it on the May ballot. And that has to be done by February 2nd.
How long does that take, do you know how long it takes the auditor to look at it? Is it verifying the numbers, or what do they do?
Easy, how long it took. I couldn't imagine it wouldn't take just a couple days.
If we was gonna do it next year, get all the eggs in a row before next year, before January. And have our information there ready to go, and that way we wouldn't have any second thoughts about February. Would you say February
February
second?
2nd.
February second.
I think I agree.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Do you wanna have a work session before our next meeting?
I'd like to see,
Cause our next meeting's the 19th?
Yep.
we went around a long time ago, this was when Dwight was here, and Brian wasn't here yet. We went around to Farmersville, and we went to West Carrollton, Farmersville, Morgan Township. And just looked at some of them, and some of them are Taj Mahal. I won't go to Westchester or Liberty, because I can't afford to pull in the driveway down there. They got a nice looking building, but they also got a budget down there that can take care of things like that. Might wait a month until we all get he comes up with a building size. We can talk among ourselves, if you go somewhere and look at something, take pictures and get some. What's mandatory with a firehouse right now? How many rooms do you mandatory have to have? Restrooms, that's a given, and what about your uniform room or your, where the bunkers are?
Bunker room.
Yeah, that'd be 3. What, is there any other, the rest of it's all would be in the bays or in your offices, whatever your office needs are.
Yeah, your training room / meeting room. Then you'd have your day room, kitchenette area, you know,
EMS supply rooms.
EMS supply room.
Yeah, I think we need to get a good square footage, kind of just add up the dimensions we think we need. And then we can shoot it at a couple of people and get estimates on it.
We can do a lot of legwork ourselves.
All right. I guess the question is, do we want to try to meet before the 19th and try to, or do we think that's enough time to get any kind of estimate?
Are you trying to put the levy on this year, or are we talking about putting the levy on?
Yeah, either in May or November.
Well, I think the May date though is that we have to have it
It would be-
completed through that cycle by February 2nd.
I would say we'd have to put it on in November. I'd rather not do that during when the school's putting one on.
Well, the only bad thing about that, if the school puts it on in May, and
And
I
it
think
fails.
it's a 50-50 shot, you know they're gonna put it right back on
Yeah.
in November, so.
I think most,
We can put it in the fall.
I
No, we
thi- I
can't
think-
do that now, can we? I'm gonna text him real quick.
but I think that people would have a different viewpoint of it, because, I mean, we can definitely show the need. It's something I don't think it's gonna be a hard sell to people. They want the, I've always said, there's 2 things we have to do with this. One, we gotta take care of our fire department and life squad. The other thing is your buying response time. The question you gotta ask yourself is, how long do you want between your 911 call and somebody showing up at your front door? How long do you want? That's what you're buying response time.
The South won't vote for us then, that's for sure.
Well, do we wanna just talk about this again on the 19th and then try to get our estimates and stuff, or find a meeting then, or after that?
19th is 3 weeks away. Or actually a little less than 3 weeks, a day less than 3 weeks. Actually, it is 3 weeks.
How quick can you come up with some needs?
I can come up with some square footage amounts for both the bay areas and the meeting / all the data room and all that pretty quick, probably within a week. I'll just go off some old plans that we have. I'll go off of what Wayne and Trenton's got, and you could do some comparables that way, and shouldn't be that hard.
You know, I also wonder if we could go to the person who built Trenton's and just say, if you were to build that today, how much would it cost? Just to have that number in your mind too.
How many bays you got down your way?
4, 5, 5,
16-foot doors?
yes.
to start working on that, Kent, what you can do. And then we're gonna have to start getting the numbers ready. Are we good putting it on in May? Do you wanna go against the school?
I think the sooner we do it, the better. We're gonna have to have some public meetings and such.
Oh, yeah, absolutely
Where
we are. We're gonna have to sell it. That's the way we did the last one. When was that? 12 years ago?
Yeah, we had a budget at one time going to 219, I remember. Wasn't, didn't work out real well, did it? If you had, I'm just thinking, if you had a building 120 foot, a 60, your trucks are how long? Are they 43 foot long or are they that long?
The
now?
engines are between 35 and 40.
Okay, I'll give you benefit of the doubt then. So,
But the building would probably be 120 by 80. The reason why I say that is like Wayne, and the way Wayne and Trenton is built, that is the majority of their storage is behind the apparatus. So you've got all your, you know, your air compressors, your equipment rooms, your storage, your EMS supply, laundry room, all that's behind there.
And that's probably the best, really, because it's all right there and easy to go to the truck, back and forth, nice movement.
So I think the right number off the top of my head, I think Trenton's is 120 by 80, I think.
We'll have to get all these numbers ready to go by the, I would say by the 19th meeting. And then vote on it then and get it to the auditor that way, because we've only got, after the 19th, you've only got 2 weeks. Let's see,
I'll make a
2
phone
weeks,
call.
exactly 2 weeks.
I'll make a phone call tomorrow to that Stein, Mr. Stein,
Mhm.
down there, and ask him how long it will take for the auditor's office to review the numbers and get them back.
Okay.
here's what you're gonna run into. Public meeting, 19th, bring up all these numbers. You bring up millage, and then you bring up levy. That starts the ball, that does start the ball rolling, good or bad. I'm just the way it is.
You, as far as the mechanics, is it just that we make a motion to put that levy on the ballot, and then that goes to the auditor, and then we come back and do it again?
It's like an application, what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You're making that, you're telling what you want, and you're telling what your numbers you think this will generate, and what it's gonna cost X amount of people at 100,000. And they come back and they might tweak it just a little bit, at least they have before, but usually if the person, if they know what they're doing, then they're in the ballpark for it. But then from that point on, whatever you say as trustees or as firemen, and you guys know all that, this is what's gonna go into your neighborhoods. And this could, so I'm just, be prepared is what I guess I'm trying to say. You get phone calls, do we really need this, and blah, blah, blah. And you gonna shut that one down, and, I mean, it'll, we've all been through it.
Sounds like a plan we're gonna go.
Sounds like a plan?
Yeah.
You guys wanna meet again before the 19th on the 12th? It's in 2 weeks.
You
I
come
can't-
home on the 12th.
I can meet on the 13th.
Well, we're gonna need to come home day earlier.
Okay. Well,
Have you got a game on, your games are on Thursday, right?
Yeah. Let's see here.
Make it on a basketball night, and most of the people will be over there at the game.
Basketball or Yellowstone?
Yeah, on Sunday. Let's see here.
On the 17th,
I do not have a game on the 13th.
Huh?
We're on the 10th and the 15th. The 13th? You guys wanna meet again on the 13th?
Might be the smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is it called a workshop,
Work session?
work session?
So that means we can't make any motions or anything?
No, not really. We
But
probably gotta make it a special meeting
But we can
again.
get some information between us.
Yeah, but I would like to, if we get all that information together, maybe we can get going on this levy on the 13th. And not call it just call it a special meeting.
At 6 o'clock?
Yep, at 6 o'clock on the 13th. Is that okay? You'll be back?
Probably. Will it be open to the public?
Yeah.
I was gonna go through this presentation, but it's what the existing facilities are.
Mhm.
I think everybody here knows what the existing
Yeah.
facilities are. I'll be happy, anybody online, I'll be happy to forward it to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I could run through it real quick.
Why don't you
This-
spend,
What's that?
why don't you spend 5 minutes or whatever it takes, and so, because people are gonna watch.
Okay. This kind of covers our structures. You know, we have the 3 facilities we got. The one at 151 there actually kind of surprised me. There's actually, I think it's 5 different parcels there that it actually covers. But it's the existing structure. The issues they have there is they've had issues with hot and cold water. The restroom facilities don't meet the needs. There's no shower facilities. The vehicle bays are very tight for this equipment. Fire storage for the equipment is in with the personnel, and that's a health hazard. Building maintenance, they're having some issues in the office space. And there's different pictures they have of the structure and the existing, what they have. And you can see that engine is backed right up against the bathroom doors. And then there's the back has the storage for the hoses and whatnot. And the things most, we've kind of talked about this before, most interesting to me is the attic that is used to dry out our hoses. And that is something that just amazes me, because if you look at how it's rigged it's a very big hazard of getting the hoses up and down there.
Jeff, it's been like that for 40 years. Cool your tools, that's all I'm gonna tell you.
Then we have the 152 station. It's actually on 3 different parcels. And that's the one it's kind of bounded by the railroad track there. And you can see the outside there, the existing kitchen. That's the school district. It says 1857 on it. And I think that's one of the students still sitting there in the seat.
He hasn't moved.
He went to that school then.
Right, so.
But again, this is the bays. You can see how tight they are with they put one of the squads in there at the time. This is the brush truck and the tanker. The restroom facilities are up these steps, so they're not ADA compliant. And they have a storage room. It's just kind of it's not a conditioned room or anything like that on the back side of it. Then you go to 153. This is the one. It's on the corner of Mosman and 122. The roof is going to get replaced, which is a good thing. They have some various issues there too. You know, right now it doesn't have the shower facility. I'm thinking that's removed. The different area, the kitchen got a little updated here lately, but you know, they have similar problems with the space for the vehicles. You look in that corner, it really wasn't made for the size vehicles we got. This was I don't know if you want to say this was a residential design, but it sort of was.
It was built, when they built it, the private squad, it was built for what they ran at that time frame. You know, the smaller squads, smaller as far as length and height. They did a great thing, you know, back then, because they used the funds that they had, but They didn't build it for the future.
And you look, you know, whatever we do is gonna have, you know, adequate garage space for our vehicles, you know, kitchen facilities, ADA compliant bathrooms, showers for the crews, and, you know, that goes back to the health hazard. It's, when you start looking at the cancer rates of the firefighters, there's a lot of things they're accounted to as the chemicals and everything we're using in our homes now. You get it on their equipment, they're breathing it in, and then they, after a fire run, they need to shower, and they also need to take care of their gear and their bunkers. Office areas are badly needed. You know, Kent's got his luxury condo there, 152, but it needs to be updated. The sleep areas, we need areas for laundry and bunkers again. The storage of them, maintaining the equipment, and then training rooms. Is this the one, you know, this is from 152, I guess, years on back, talking about our equipment. You know, the vehicles here on 151, we have the engine there, we have the brush truck, and we have the rescue crew. And that rescue unit, I thought that was a really smart purchase we made as far as how it's, the size of it and the use of it. Again, for the vehicles at 152, we got the brush truck, we got the big tanker, and we got the engine. And then the engine's kind of a, well, both the pump, and the engine, those are, the pumper's from 1988, and then the engine's from 1998. So, you think about that, we've got like kids running on those that are actually, the truck's older than they are. Then our EMS vehicles, I actually got 2 slides on this. But we have the two squads. You know, we talked about replacing the larger or the older unit because of mileage and equipment use. And one of the things that I know a lot of people were asked questions about the chase vehicle we bought this year. That was meant to elongate the service time of the 2 squad units, and that we wouldn't have to send them out all the time. And that's something that's, you're trading a vehicle that's probably $60,000 for a vehicle that's $300,000. So it's the economics of it.
Yeah, it's definitely helped us. I mean, just yesterday, Wayne Township had a squad run. They only had 1 person. They needed an additional crew member. So rather than us taking our medic unit out of the township to go to help them, we're able just to send 1 person in the chase car, go over there, complete a crew for them, and that kept our medic unit in service in the township. So, whereas last year we'd have just sent the squad over there and either taken the patient to the hospital in our medic unit or let them borrow somebody, which would have put us completely out of service till they got back. So.
And we got our 2 command vehicles we use for service, which actually lowers our cost too. And you know, that was something that when I started looking at this a few years back, it really kind of caught me off guard. You look at the cost to replace some of these, and these vehicles aren't cheap. So we want to try to use them best we can, and use them. You know, like I said, the idea of the chase vehicle, the other rescue units and stuff to keep that going. Then we got our personnel, and we can't say enough about our personnel as far as just the service they do. But you look at our years of service, we have some really experienced crew members, which is great. And our age range, when we started looking at this, it kind of surprised me. I thought we would actually be higher, but it is what it is. So, you know, it is our single largest budget item is the salaries of this. And I think we're going to I won't say struggle with, but it's going to be a pull on our budget going forward. And here's our runs for this year. Something else a lot of people probably don't realize is how much it costs to outfit a firefighter as far as all the equipment. You know, we've got budget items in there, line items for that to keep it running per person. And this estimate they had was about $16,000 per person. I'm not sure how true that is as far as what our costs are running, but
With an air pack included, that's probably pretty close.
We've purchased, I guess, we've talked about the CARES funds and the ARPA funds, both of those have extended out our budget. And we've used them, and I think we've had some really good purchases off of those. You know, we've had some different things for the fire squad, and we also had some things for the road crew purchase off of them. But I think we've used those pretty effectively as far as expanding extending our budget. And here's the things we were talking about. Replacing the cars, choosing a path forward, and we gotta create a budget that's sustainable. That's all I have.
That was a good presentation. Thank you.
Any questions or anything you guys have, or anyone else has?
So we have a special meeting, January 13th at 6 p.m. Everybody okay with that? Any other questions or comments?
The only thing I'd like to say as fire chief is I appreciate the support you guys have given us this year and the past years. When we, as fire and EMS, come to you guys are 100% supportive, and you give us most everything we ask for. So you're definitely behind the fire and EMS, and we appreciate that.
I'll second that.
Anybody else? Jeff, you got anything?
You want a motion to adjourn?
Alan, you got anything?
No.
Here, a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, gentlemen. It is 7:24. Thanks for showing up.
Very productive meeting.
Yeah, can't you just cost the township about $10 million? It was really productive.